This week on Strange Cinema, we're covering Incident in a Ghostland, a gripping psychological horror film that follows a mother and her two daughters who are attacked in their new home by sadistic intruders, only for the story to spiral into a disturbing exploration of trauma, delusion, and survival. Okay. Hi, I'm Natasha,
And I'm Cassandra.
and this is Strange Sisters. And on this episode of Strange Cinema, as you just heard, we're covering Incident in a Ghostland, which was directed by Pascal Laugier, I think is how you say it, French name. He also directed the cult classic from 2008, Martyrs. So if you've seen that movie and you haven't seen this one, then you know you're in for a wild ride.
This is my favorite one other than the one that I picked.
Oh, okay, so you actually liked it.
Yeah, I don't know why I was you talked it up so much, like I was prepared to like sleep with the lights on, but
See,
I don't think it was that bad.
okay. Yeah, when I watched it again, I thought, oh, this is worse than I remembered. Cassandra's gonna like freak out. Yeah, I think it's a really good movie. It's really interesting and like unique. I can't really think of another movie like it. Yeah, it definitely holds your attention. It's only an hour and a half, but it actually I thought felt longer because so much happens.
Yeah, it definitely felt longer, and it's on Tubi, so there's commercials too.
Yes,
But
true.
I was like, I thought this was only an hour and a half.
Yeah, oh that's probably what it was. The commercials definitely, yeah. And they always interject at like the weirdest times when there's like all this tension built up, you know? Then it's like, buy a new Hyundai. You're like, oh my God.
But it kind of makes you reminisce about like the good old days with cable where we would have to like run to the bathroom during the
Yeah.
commercial breaks.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was like switching the laundry and getting drinks and stuff. But yeah, I think what drew me into this movie initially is that it's about two sisters and a single mom. We don't know if she's like a widow or,
Yeah.
divorced or what. They might have said, but I don't remember. And the dynamic between the sisters reminds me a lot of me and Cassandra when we were like in our young teens, where Cassandra was all like artistic emo kind of, and I was like in my party phase, like shut up, you're being so annoying. So yeah, I think that's what drew me in initially.
I actually said that to Lance while we were watching it. I was like, this kind of reminds me of me and Natasha.
Yeah. So it starts off with Pauline, who is a single mother, driving her two daughters, Beth and Vera, to their recently inherited rural home. So Pauline's like great aunt died or something like that, and they inherited her home. And so right away we're introduced to the girls' contrasting personalities. Beth is quiet, imaginative, and obsessed with H.P. Lovecraft and horror writing, so she's like an aspiring author. And Vera is kind of a loud, a little more rebellious girl, seemingly frustrated with Beth and her emo ways and like detachment from reality.
And that's where it kind of seemed like it was that the wife was widowed because like I feel like all movies like that, how that starts is like it's always, well, if dad was here.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It kind of has that dynamic of like, mom is taking on both roles kind of thing. But the mom was like really sweet and supportive of her daughter. Um, Also annoyed at Vera because she's just like a little brat. But they're teenagers, so what can you do?
Yeah.
And so they stop at this cute little gas station. They're talking to the clerk. She's like very charming, kind of rural type person where they're a little more chatty and like not like a big city where they're like, yeah, just get the hell out of here. So she kind of chats with her a little bit. And then as they're driving, they see this weird like candy truck that drives past them and is like honking and waving at them. So they wave back and they're like, all right, well, that was weird, but whatever.
Well, Vera gives them the finger.
Yes, Vera gives them the finger. Yeah. She waves at first and then she gives him the finger. But yeah, it's just kind of strange. So whatever, not thinking much of it. So they end up at the house. They finally find it. It's very creepy. There's dolls everywhere. And they're not even really getting the full picture because it's nighttime. So they're not even really seeing the exterior, which we see later in
I
the
loved
movie.
it. I thought
Yeah,
it was super cute.
it was cute, but it was also bordering on like weird hoarder situation.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's exactly how you would describe my house.
Probably, yes. Yeah. So they're just unpacking, kind of looking through the house. They didn't seem like they didn't bring a ton of stuff with them, so they're maybe just kind of bringing like a few boxes with clothes and stuff like that. And then the truck that they saw earlier pulls up into their driveway, which they don't see, and then they hear someone come into the house. So this is just their first night there. They literally just got there.
Yeah, I feel
And
like people need to lock doors more.
yeah, I think being in the country, they kind of had this like false sense of security of like, oh, no one's going to come all the way out here, which a lot of people do, especially if you come from a city where you do have to be a little bit higher on, guard. I think when people go to the country, they're like, there's no one around, but like that can be a good thing and a bad thing, just depending on
Yeah.
the situation. So the two intruders break in while they're unloading the boxes, and it's a large, silent, mentally impaired man who likes to treat women like dolls, and a woman dressed in kind of like old-timey clothes who caters to the man's urges, but also seems to get some pleasure out of torturing this family as well. Like she's the one that initially attacks the mom, and so we're kind of like, this is a weird dynamic. Are they maybe siblings? That was kind of the vibe that I was getting, is like maybe they were siblings.
Yeah. And I actually, Lance brought it up. He thought that the other person was a man as well, like dressing as a woman.
Yes, I think it was a trans woman, is
Okay.
my impression,
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
believe. Yeah. So the home invasion is absolutely brutal. Pauline fights like hell to protect her daughters because it's just the three of them out there, and the daughters are
Yeah.
terrified. And after just a like savage struggle, she manages to kill both of the attackers. So we're like, damn, that's a badass mom right there. And it's horrifying, but it seems like it's over relatively quickly.
So one note I have about that like fight scene, actually I have a couple notes,
Okay.
but one of my main ones is, and this is like, it goes across a lot of horror movies. People don't ever make sure dead is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta go for that Zombieland double tap
I'm
motto.
like, you gotta at least like cut their throat. Like, come on.
Stab them like it through the eye or something. That seems effective. If you don't have a gun, I don't
Exactly.
know. Yeah,
Then they
something.
can't at least they can't see you.
Yeah, true. Or the heart if you can find it. That seems effective.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
also, I think was Elizabeth the other girl's name? Or
Beth, yeah.
I got so frustrated while I was watching that part because I was just like, could you move? Could you do something?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I I totally get like I have been in shock and like felt just stuck and didn't know what to do. And I know she's like a kid,
Hmm.
but your mom is like literally being attacked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
And your
like that
sister.
fight, flight, or freeze thing. So she definitely just froze.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
totally get that. I freeze a lot too, but also flee a lot too.
Yeah, at least that, at least if she had gotten out, maybe that she could have gotten help or whatever. So then we flash forward to like years later, or so it seems, and Beth is now a successful horror novelist living in Chicago with a husband and a son. And she's clearly made a life for herself, but she's very still haunted by what happened when she was a teenager. And then she gets a disturbing call from her sister Vera, who's still living in the house with their mom. So that's just crazy to me. Like,
Yeah.
sell that creepy ass house and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too because it's like okay, the trauma and your daughter's like gone crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And so when Vera calls Beth, she's screaming, saying, "They're still here." And so Beth is like freaked out. So she tries to call her mom, but her mom doesn't answer. So she just like hops in the car or plane or something and rushes back to the house. So this all happens within like overnight, basically.
One thing about that I got really frustrated with was like she took time to pack and stuff. And I'm like, your sister just called you frantic. You can't get a hold of your mom and you're gonna like fold your clothes. That's crazy to me.
Well,
I mean,
the impression I got is that this is not abnormal for them.
yeah,
So maybe she just thought it was like a really bad episode or something like that.
something you're not foreign to.
Yeah. No, I mean, not to this
Natasha's been a
extreme.
very good sport over the years.
But yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like it was super out of the ordinary, but she was just concerned because she couldn't get a hold of her mom. So then I think that's when she was like, maybe something is really wrong. So as soon as Beth gets back to the house, things just feel off, which of course they do. Why the hell would you want to go back to somewhere where you experienced such a
Yeah.
traumatic thing or even still live there? So Vera is just like completely unhinged. She's acting like she's been attacked. She's scratching at the wall. She's screaming. She's just like inconsolable. And you're like, damn, this is serious. Like, this is not
Yeah.
just anxiety or something. And Pauline seems like very tired and passive. Like, she's trying to keep Vera calm, but she doesn't seem like she's really taking it too seriously. So you could think like maybe she's been going through it for so long that she's just exhausted, from having to deal with this.
It also seemed like as we go on that she kind of had a drinking problem.
Hmm.
So she was just like numb to it.
Yeah, so she was kind of just like pushing it all down. And so Beth struggles to reconnect with both of them because it's like such a jarring situation to walk into versus I think when you're living it, you just become numb to it basically.
She was like a famous writer at this point.
Yes, she was on like talk shows and stuff talking about her books.
So she had an entirely different life than what she
Hmm.
was going into.
Yeah. And Beth is unsure if Vera is delusional or if there's something else going on that she's kind of walking into. It's hard to tell because she is reacting like so severely.
Yeah.
And Vera keeps yelling at Beth that she's hiding from reality. And she insists, like, none of this is real. But Beth just kind of dismisses it, thinking, well, Vera's in her own head. She's the one that's reliving this trauma over and over again. She can't live, in reality.
Go
And
to the
then
doctors. Why was she not at the doctors?
I assume that she had seen the psychiatrist, psychologist, and they probably prescribed her medication. But yeah, it kind of seemed like she needed to be in like a mental health hospital. Like it didn't seem like she was functioning very well outside of that kind of like space.
She needed a 5150. Like, you need to get her out of that environment for her own safety.
Well, yeah, and it seemed like they were like maybe in their 30s, and at the time of the attack, they were maybe like 15, 14,
Yeah.
15. So it had been over a decade, so who knows what treatment she had gotten and if any of it was effective, supposedly. So then Beth starts noting some weird inconsistencies, like as she's kind of like in the house, walking around the house. And then, this is the major twist of the movie, we snap back to reality, and suddenly everything shifts, and we're violently thrown back to the night in the house, but the attackers are still there.
Yeah.
So, so what did you think of this twist? Were you expecting it or?
So I kind of ruined it for myself because I looked at it on Wikipedia, so I kind of
Ah,
knew what was happening,
okay.
but I didn't like read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Kind of saw where it was going, but also I thought it was going to be more like doll involved.
Yeah, the dolls are just kind of an accent for
And
most of the movie.
that was one of my biggest complaints about the movie is that they had too many plot points going on.
Yeah, I don't know if they were trying to set it up for like a prequel or like maybe something about the aunt, because maybe like something weird had been going on in that house and the intruders didn't follow them. Maybe they knew about the house already.
Yeah. And like it seemed before Beth wakes up that they were trying to make it seem like the two intruders were ghosts in the house possessing the dolls.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that at all, but
Like I don't know. It was just very odd to me. And like there was that one scene with Vera where she was like possessed and like she snapped her fingers.
Yeah, so that was the intruders. That was that was
Yeah.
doing that. They did kind of have some little points where you're like, oh, that's kind of strange, but you don't. It's not something that I think a lot of people picked up on when they first watched the movie. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty good twist. And so this entire adult life that Beth had been living was a complete mental fabrication to just escape the horrors of what was happening to her and her sister and her mom.
Complete dissociation.
Yeah, so Pauline actually did not make it. She died. The woman killed her. And so the girls have been stuck in the house since then, and they're now being used to like satiate this male intruder's weird urges.
And he's got like a doll fetish.
Yes. So yeah, they just said something like, "We just want to play with your dolls," or something like that.
Like, okay, go to Goodwill. Like,
So that's why I
there's
thought
plenty of dolls.
maybe they knew of the house before because how did they even know about the dolls? Or was that just kind of like a plus, like they were gonna follow and attack these women anyway, and then when they got there, they saw the dolls and they're like, "Oh." But it seemed like it was such a fetish of his that they must have known
Well,
beforehand.
in the beginning, Beth was reading a newspaper at that corner store you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and it talked about a serial killer that
Yes.
killed the parents, but left the teenage girls alive. So, like, this wasn't
Mm-hmm.
their first rodeo.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, these are just monstrous people. So maybe the dolls.
The girls are the dolls. It doesn't matter if you have dolls or not. This was
Mhm.
just like convenient.
Yeah, they just also liked that they're like, "Oh, this is just a bonus," maybe, or maybe they had even heard about it from people in the area, like, "Oh, this crazy lady has a bunch of dolls," or who knows.
Personally
Um,
attacked by that statement.
yeah, well, this is like excessive. Like they're everywhere. Well, okay. So we snap back to the basement. The girls are being kept in the basement, and the sisters are just living in this terrible state. The candy truck woman is the one that's like controlling everything, and then the brew abuses the girls, dressing them up like dolls, and then forcing them into like this humiliating like playtime, which clearly has like sexual tones, and yeah, it doesn't get that far for Beth, but it seemed like it had for Vera. They just don't show it. Like it's really kind of following Beth this whole time.
Yeah, and that part I will admit I did not watch. I can't do rapey scenes. It just, ugh.
Yeah, it's very creepy. And this guy is like freakishly strong and just yeah, very scary. So Beth is just kind of going in and out of disassociating, just trying to like check out of this whole situation.
Yeah.
So Vera advises Beth on how to act when the woman takes her upstairs. And but nothing could have really prepared her for the horrors that she was about to experience, like we were just talking about. So it was interesting how Beth went from completely disassociating to getting creative to fight back against the captors, I thought. Like she kind of was at two different extremes.
When she came back, like she came back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to figure out the timeline while I was watching it, like how long had they been in the basement? And and it's like a weird, I pick up on really weird things. In the beginning of the movie, Beth gets a period for the first time.
Yes.
And that's actually why he takes Vera first. 'Cause, like he has that weird scene where he's like smelling their crotches. Like, that's weird,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Don't do that.
Ugh, disgusting.
But in like the coming scene that you're gonna talk about, she had a period still. So it's either month like it's been a month or longer, or it's still within like the same couple of days. And when you see the mom's body, it hasn't started to deteriorate yet. So I think it was in like a couple of days that she disassociated to have a whole life.
I believe it was all within the same night.
It was all the same night.
I believe so, or within maybe 2 days. But yeah, it's all like very quickly. But because of her kind of going back and forth, it feels like it's a lot longer. Yeah. So the woman dresses Beth up like a doll with the makeup and everything and kind of props her up in this area that's just like a room filled with dolls, which is creepy on its own. And some of the dolls are like the size of a human. So at first the guy's kind of like looking at the other dolls. Like I don't know if he's like visually impaired and can't figure out which one is Beth and which one is a doll. It was kind of unclear. Um,
Does he
and
know about sex dolls? Like, we could really have avoided this whole mess.
yeah, yeah, really, no kidding. Yeah, ugh. So yeah, like he's kind of doing weird things to them, smelling them. And so when Beth is waiting for the guy to come in, she finds like this weird hairpin in one of the dolls and she grabs it and she's like, okay, at least I have something I can like hurt this guy with. So she waits for the perfect moment and then she stabs him in the shoulder, which I'm like, oh, stab him in the neck, stab him in the eye.
Stab him in
But
the eye.
she did the best she could. She's just a teenager, so, still A for effort. She gets him off of him, so that's good at least. Yeah. And then I think this is the part where they kind of struggle back and forth and then is this when she hits him with the typewriter?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So eventually he gets her on like this disgusting mattress and she sees that there's a typewriter like just within her reach. So she grabs it while the guy's like struggling and she smacks him over the head with it a bunch of times. And then while he's knocked out, she grabs the key out of his pocket and the key is for the basement where they're keeping Vera. So she kind of sneaks down, grabs Vera, and then they run back out. And then as they're trying to escape out the door, the woman catches a glimpse of them through her eye line. So they hide, and then the big guy is like stomping on the floor, I guess, asking her for help. So she runs upstairs to help him, and the two girls escape, and they run out into the surrounding woods, and it's just like tons of woods. It's a very rural area, which is scary on its own. So they're running all through the night, and then at daybreak they come upon this like field and then a road, and they see a police car drive by, and they're like, "Oh my God, we just missed it!" And they start screaming because they're like, "Fuck,
How?
yeah, like maybe they'll hear us," but I think really they were just like so tired. They were just like, fuck, we're never gonna get out of here. So,
Did no one have cell phones? Just out of curiosity, I'm looking through my notes, and multiple times in this movie, no one had a cell
I
phone.
think the girls had phones. I don't know if it was a thing of like service.
House phone worked. They had a working house phone.
Yeah, maybe I mean, at that point, I think it all happened so fast that by the time they got free, they're like, we're just gonna run. Like, we're not gonna try to
Well, yeah, that
sit here.
totally makes sense. But there are parts in the movie where like it would make sense for them to have a phone and they didn't, or like use the phone flashlight and they didn't. And I'm just like, these are two teenage girls.
Yeah,
Like, don't bullshit bullshitter.
they should have had phones. I don't know. Yeah, maybe the intruders took their phones. Who knows?
Fair.
Um, So the police car does hear them. It sounds like they had their windows down, thank God. So they back up and it's a male and a female officer and they tell the male officer like get the fuck back, like don't touch her.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, so the female officer stays with them, which was like luckily that there was a female officer there. And while she's doing that, the male officer goes back and calls in the situation. And they're kind of talking about, oh, yeah, they met that something about the woman at the convenience store. So somehow she all kind of tied into that. And they were talking about the aunt's house. So they were able to get a little bit of details over to dispatch. And so the male officer is walking back and he's like, hey, we gotta go, like we got to drop these girls off and then we got to go, I think, to the convenience store. So it sounded like something happened there too. And as soon as he gets back, he gets shot. And you're like, oh shit.
So in
So,
the beginning of the movie, they make a Rob Zombie reference. And that
mhm.
scene gave me Rob Zombie vibes. Like, that gave me
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses vibes.
Yeah, it totally did. Yeah, I think the Vera calls it like the Rob Zombie's house or something like that. Yeah, so you're like, oh shit. So then the female officer is looking around. She's like, where did that even come from? And so we look up and it's the woman, the captor, the candy woman, and she's got just like a handgun, so she couldn't have been that far. I don't know why the woman police officer was so confused, but before she can even unholster her gun, she shoots her 3 times and takes the girls in the candy truck and like shackles them up in the candy truck. So clearly they've also done that before because they had these shackles like ready to go.
Yeah.
And Vera's just absolutely freaking out, devastated, and Beth is just disassociating again. And then we see that they pull back into the aunt's house. So you're
Well,
like,
it's
oh
going to be
God.
like double devastating for Vera because, like, not only did she almost get free but didn't, Beth is gone again. So she's
Mm-hmm.
basically on her own trying to protect her sister
Mm-hmm.
while her
Right.
sister's just like gone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a really crazy. And you're like, well, this isn't going to end well. Like, obviously, they're just going to kill them at this point.
Yeah.
So they do get in the house and they take both the girls up to the creepy doll room. And
Why do you have to hate on the dolls?
I just thought it really added to the creepiness. I don't think anyone is watching this other than you being like, "Oh, those dolls have nothing to do with it." Like they add to the creepiness of it.
Well, I was watching it. Lance and I were talking, and I was like, Natasha thought that this would make me like afraid of my dolls. It just makes me like my dolls more, honestly.
Okay, well, that's weird.
I,
Yeah.
I'm convinced at least one of my haunted dolls, if I was in that situation, would get up and do something.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe you'll be saved by your haunted dolls.
Knock on wood, we never find out.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. So once they're back in the house, Beth eventually does finally snap out of her delusion again, thank God. And with Vera's help, they are able to injure the man. So we're like, okay. But the woman is still there. And really, I think she's the more brutal one, to be honest. Like, she's
Yeah,
very scary. So,
there's just so she kind of looked like a female version of Snape, and it was just very like uncanny valley and unsettling.
yeah, yeah, you could just tell there was like, the actor did a really good job because there was just like
Yeah,
hate. Like, the eyes were very hateful
exactly.
and scary.
Yeah,
Yeah. So luckily, since the police officer had called in, they were able to figure out, I guess they must have talked to the clerk at the little convenience store, and she knew where the house was because she had talked to the girl and said, "Oh yeah, so and so's house. You guys are moving in there." So she
yeah.
knew where it was. And so they were able to send the police out and like thank God, right as the woman is trying to hurt the girls, the police come in and they're like, don't move. And then, of course, she moves and they shoot her. And then you see she falls to the side, her wig falls off. So that's how we come to understand maybe they're a trans woman, maybe it's just someone who likes to dress up in drag. We don't really know.
I don't know a drag queen that's a murderer.
Yeah. Yeah, my impression was that it was supposed to be a trans woman who was dealing with her own issues through helping her brother with these things because she seemed to really enjoy like the makeup part, dressing the girls up and all that.
Yeah. Though she used blue eyeshadow on them, and this
Hmm.
is so funny. My notes. I was like, no one looks good in blue eyeshadow.
Yeah. But it's supposed to be like a doll, so it makes sense that it's, exaggerated.
I just took way too
Yeah.
many notes about the dolls. I think I might have paid way too much attention about that.
Yeah. And not to say that trans people have issues in general, like I think this person in particular just had
Yeah.
issues and also happened to be trans.
Yeah.
That's the impression that I was getting. So they're like, thank God, they come and save these girls because otherwise, if the police officer hadn't have called it in, who knows what would have happened to them. Yeah.
But it seems like it took a really long time for the cops to get there. And I know that it's a movie and it's all for the plot,
Mm,
but like,
I don't think so because I don't think they were actually that far from their house. Because think about it, they're running through the woods and they could have been running basically in like a circle. Like they don't really know. It's not like they have a compass. So I don't think they were that far from the house. So I'm assuming like when those cops didn't show up at wherever they were supposed to go next, they kind of figured it out. I thought maybe it all happened with like an within like an hour or something.
Well, I mean, by the time the cops call it in and they have been re-kidnapped and like
Mhm.
settled back into the house, by the time they got back to the house, shouldn't the cops have already been there because they knew where to go?
Well, I don't think they knew where to go right away. I think they had to kind of figure it out
I
based on
swear that they
woman.
said, like, oh, they just moved into this house.
They just moved into their aunt's house because they were asking, "Do you know where your aunt's house is?"
Yeah, and the lady from the store told them the name of the aunt's house.
Yeah, the lady at the store did. Yeah, but I think they had to. Yeah, so I think it all. I think it happened fairly quickly, but it probably felt like a very long time for the girls.
Yeah, I'm
Um, e-
sure.
yeah, especially because they didn't necessarily know that the cop or what the cop had told dispatch, so they could have thought we're never getting out of here alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the girls are being wheeled out of the ambulance or out to the ambulance, and Beth looks back at the house and she sees her mom in one of the upper windows, who motions down to a typewriter at the front, like in the front lawn. And so, in theory, telling her, like, this is going to be your breakthrough story, right? Like, this is how you're going to become an author and find your voice as a writer.
Yeah. Which it's so sad that like she dissociates to say goodbye to the ghost of her mom.
She's dissociating, like, maybe her mom really is a ghost there.
Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah. So it's this movie is definitely kind of a visceral experience and it plays with perception in a way that's pretty disturbing. Like the first time I saw this movie, I was pretty surprised by the twist and I was like, "Whoa, this is really fucked up." Like it just felt like one of those things, kind of like a Rob Zombie movie, honestly, where you're like, this could really happen, especially in these rural places where there aren't a lot of people around. You don't have like cameras, you don't have an alarm system, your guard is down because you're in a place where there's not, seemingly, you would think there's not a lot of crime. And you're also not from the area, so you don't know that these murders have recently taken place. So you're like, just kind of starting over in a good mood, happy to be there, and then it all happens so quickly that you can't even really comprehend, you just have to kind of like deal with it in the moment and then like reflect back on it later, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I already, as we all know, don't fucking go in the woods. But yeah, no, that it definitely made me feel like I have a better reason not to go in the woods.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the woods, it was just like a rural house, but sure.
I stand by it. Stand by what I said. But no, it was like I said, it was my favorite of the ones we've done so far, other than obviously my pick, Stay Alive. Um, and it was interesting, and it wasn't as gory as the other
Hmm.
movies, which I appreciated.
What other movies have we done? Strangeland.
Ugh.
What did we
Sometimes I
do?
close my eyes and I still see that asshole.
Oh, and then Eyes of My Mother. Yeah, that one's not really gory either, but
I have a thing with eyes.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. So yeah, that was
You
not
picked
intentional.
two in a row.
Um, but yeah, I mean, this film I think is kind of a cult classic too. It's not super well known, but like a lot of like horror fans have definitely seen it. And it's been criticized because just the subject, like it's pretty intense and it's,
Yeah.
related to children. So of course people are critical of it, which of course, yes, in the real world, you don't ever want to be doing anything like that to children. But it also just has such a interesting psychological aspect to it that it's not just like pure gore like House of a Thousand Corpses or like Hostel or something like that. It really has like a good mix of kind of in and out where you're like, what is really happening, So I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, I really liked it. And even at the ending, it's kind of like, what if she's dissociating again? Did
Hmm.
they really get out?
Right. Yeah, you kind of don't know. I mean, it seemed like it, But yeah, you don't really know for sure, and that's I think kind of interesting too.
I also would like to point out one thing. At the end of the movie, a doll does help save the day. Just saying.
What doll?
The one in the mirror,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it distracts the guy.
That was the creepiest doll. It was in some weird like
Oh
case.
yeah, and it had like yellow eyes. That I will agree that doll was creepy.
Yeah. So yeah, it was it's an interesting movie. Like we said, it's on Tubi is where you watched it. I think I watched it on Tubi
Yeah.
too. Good movie for spooky season, definitely.
It's not too long. Like you said, it's only an hour and a
Mhm.
half.
Yeah, yeah. So I
If
would
you get an
definitely
attention span like me, that's nice.
I feel like most movies are an hour and a half now. You don't really see too many movies that are like 2 or 3 hours anymore.
I don't really watch movies anymore. I mean, my husband watches Lord of the Rings on repeat, so every every movie
Oh.
seems like a marathon.
Yes, those are exceptionally long movies, so that makes sense. Yeah. So that is Incident in a Ghostland. That was, I guess, less traumatizing than I thought it would be for Cassandra, so that's good.
Ready to like, it was going to be doll ghost possession kind of thing. So I was ready to like which I did remind my dolls. I love them and I appreciate them very much because I don't want to fuck around with that. I was ready to be like, I need to go move these back downstairs.
Oh, yeah, see, and that would be less scary to me than this movie. So that's interesting. I don't know that this movie is really scary so much as it's just like it just keeps you interested the whole time. You know, there are definitely like tense moments, but it's not like super scary movie.
Stressful isn't the word I'm looking for. It keeps you like on the edge of your seat because of all like the plot changes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like horror movie scary, I guess.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
kind of
it
more like Criminal Minds scary.
yeah, it's more of like a thriller, I guess. I mean it definitely has horror aspects, but it's definitely like a horror thriller, not just like a straight gore. Not like a
Yeah.
straight gore fest or anything. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't watched it yet. Although now you know the whole plot, so maybe you should have watched it first, but I think it's still worth a watch. And for our next horror movie or our next Strange Cinema, we're going to just do kind of a top 10 list of both of our spooky season movies. Mine will be definitely more horror leaning. Cassandra's will probably be more like kid friendly. So,
I'm a baby.
yeah, so you'll have a good mix of things to watch with your kiddos and then things to watch with yourself or your friends or your partner after they go to bed for sure. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like, subscribe, share, all those things really help boost our show in the podcast realm. The podcast world is very saturated, so the more people that interact with our show, the more it gets pushed out to other people. And yeah, so we would appreciate that if you enjoyed it. And our next episode, I think it's going to be a true crime episode, right? It's going to be one of mine.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that will be coming. There's a lot going on right now, so I'm kind of thinking about maybe doing a more recent one. I don't know. I'll have to see how much information I can find. But yeah, we'll definitely do one of those in our next episode. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay
Stay
strange.
strange.